it seems like the return game and punt return and kickoff returns have really kind of been sparking the team. Is that something that you think can be contagious in terms of like getting guys to? Because Norvell said they've already been bought in the special teams and the return game, but when I guess do you see any more confidence or excitement about that unit now?
Well, I think when you have the on-field success, it just reinforces the messaging. I mean, that's 3 weeks in a row that we've had what we determined as a game-changing play in the return game. Had the 75-yard punt return a couple weeks back, and then had the return against Duke, and then this past week, Duke's got that one 44 yards. So the return game is starting to click, and I think that's one of those things that because we say it all the time, and I don't know if people just kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I really felt like we were really, really close to hitting some early on, but you need a lot of things to happen for it all to play out. And I think, the last couple of games, guys have really been on point in terms of what their assignments were, how they executed, and then I think at the return spot with both Deuce and Keon or whoever's been back there have done a really good job.
Jared mentioned he had a conversation with you during the week about his practice and how he wanted to practice harder. Did you see that the rest of the weekend, and how did that carry over into the game? And what does it say about a player of his caliber who's always looking to improve?
Well, I think I think one of the things that can be overlooked is the amount of noise that can be around players, especially ones that are high profile and visible. And one of the things that we just talked about last week was, because it wasn't as if he was playing poorly, like that wasn't the case. But one of the things we talked about last week was just getting back to basics and just going out and playing as hard as you possibly can. Let's start with that, and then let everything else kind of take care of itself. And I think he did have a really good week of practice, and that doesn't guarantee that you're going to go and have a great game, but it gives you your best chance to go and have a great game. And then he went out and it translated for him on Saturday. And it wasn't just the 2 sacks. I mean, I thought, the whole of his game, how he played the run, how he affected the passer when he didn't get there. I thought he was really effective in the game. And, for me, I just want to see him continue to grow and take positive steps as a player and as a person.
Brendan?
Is Byron getting increasingly comfortable with his role the more reps he's getting out there?
Yeah, I think Byron has gotten a little bit better every week, and I think he's gaining confidence. I think he's gaining belief that he has the ability to go in there in any situation and do a good job for us. And that's showing up and reflecting in a lot of different ways. But I'm happy for him and his progress. But it's been a lot of work, and he's persevered through some things throughout the course of his career here to get him to this point. And I just think that with each game he's gotten better, and I'm looking forward to see what that ceiling really looks like.
Chris?
With Patrick Payton, him becoming an every down defensive end for you guys, how has he taken the next step, especially over the last 4 or 5 games?
I think you see it in his physicality. I think Pat was, and it's part of just where he was in his physical development when he got here. He was thin and needed to gain strength in the weight room, and coming off of last year, that was going to be his number one goal and priority, was to gain some muscle and gain some weight and really focus on being physical. And we do pods every Tuesday, which is our O-line versus D-line in the run game, and just seeing his development in that. Pat is growing into a really physical run defender, and is really becoming a very complete player in every way. And then you add to that the fact that he's really, really smart in terms of how he understands and plays the game. I see him growing every week, just overall as a player.
Jordan?
Going up to Pitt, that's going to be your coldest game of the season as we enter into November and hopefully December. How does the weather affect the kicking game?
Well, the weather certainly can have an impact, and it impacts kicking game in a couple different ways. Obviously the ball doesn't necessarily travel as well. when it's a little bit colder. You have more of an opportunity in some cases for wind. That will certainly affect the kicking game. But it will always be addressed, but we also have a mindset and approach that we control the things that we can control. And, we'll be out there early with the kickers, because they're, I played in that stadium several times. There is a little bit of wind that sometimes does impact some things there. Probably a little bit, looking at the forecast, maybe not as big of a factor maybe this week, but I'll make sure they're out there and are comfortable with it. And, like I said, we're just gonna focus on things that we can control but be aware of our situation and surroundings.
Obviously, Rams started the season starting 12-12 and then missed that one kick. What will happen on that play, and what do you say to him after to keep him up? Because I know he had some struggles last year with his confidence after a few misses.
Sure. I don't think from a confidence standpoint he will be phased. It happens sometimes, and he was the first one to come over. I asked him what happened after the missed kick. He said, I just didn't hit it good. And that shows some growth and maturity on his part as well. There wasn't a whole bunch of, this happened or that happened. It was just, hey, I didn't hit it good. And if that's the case, you just move on and you do better on the next one. And I'm fully confident that that's where this will head.
Ira? Has Keon been good for Deuce in terms of, it just seems like since Keon's been here, it seems like he's taken Deuce kind of under his wing a little bit, and he seems really excited about the way Deuce is returning now. And do you think has he helped him at all? Have you noticed that at all?
I would say this, I think Keon has helped everybody in our program, and I say that not only because obviously he's a talented player, and that's easy for everyone to see, but just his approach every day, the way he is in the locker room, the way he is, on the practice field, he's an all-in, all about the team kind of guy, and I think that's one of the things that's really special about our group. And it's neat because it includes even guys that have only been here for a few months. This is a very close-knit team, and I think when your really good players are willing to invest in other guys, it makes everybody better, and I see that with Keon all over the place.
Brendan? On the punt, Alex had that got down to the one, the level of precision for him to do the punt with that kind of spin, and then I guess the effort by the coverage guys to go ahead and get a play, make the play as well. You just got to break down what happened on that. Yeah,
so it's a really good testament to where Alex has grown and really his big picture understanding of the game. The particular punt that was called, he actually kicked it a little bit different than I anticipated that he was going to kick the ball. And when he came over the sideline, I said, I asked him about it, and he was just talking about his ball control situation where he was on the field. Didn't feel like that the style of punt in which we had called, he was going to be able to control it as well. So he made a decision that doesn't affect anybody, but he made a decision on how he wanted to hit the ball, and obviously played out really well. And he knows better than anyone how he needs to hit the ball to get the results that he wants. And that was a fantastic kick. Big play in the game because it ultimately led directly to a score because we were able to get a 3-and-out defensively. And then, for the guys covering, I thought they did a fantastic job. And J-Dub, I do want to point him out on this because what he's been able to do this year on special teams has been awesome. So, I've been really pleased with his growth, and he was the one that got down there and down the ball. And, I think just as a whole coverage unit, those guys take a lot of pride in what they do, but the guys on that play did a really good job.
Brendan, you got another one?
Going way back to when we were doing Zoom calls in 2020, you remember talking about, I think it was after the UNC game, like if you guys are doing your job right as coaches, the team will get better as the season goes on. And that's kind of been a thing under this regime. I guess simple question, but like why has the program gotten better later in seasons?
I think it's the consistency of approach. The way that, and it starts with Coach Norvell, the way that he is every single day. His mindset is the objective, and the objective for this program is to get better every day. And that mindset and that will to improve is reinforced every single day. And if your goal is to get incrementally better every day as you go, you're gonna see the results that we've seen since the time that we've been here. We do get better throughout the course of the season. I think that's a direct reflection of the philosophy of the program, the way that Coach Norvell approaches it, and the fact that our players have done a tremendous job of buying into what we ask them to do. And the consistency of approach is, you know, every single day is essentially the same in terms of what our objective is. And when that's the case, you're gonna see gains throughout the course of the year.
Who got Ira?
I imagine, screen game's gonna be challenging for any defensive front, but, how well do Coach Atkins, Coach Norvell, that staff, and these players, how well do they execute them when you go up against them?
You know, they're as good in a screen game as anyone I've ever had an opportunity to be around and see on a consistent basis. And part of it is that they're really good at disguising the look that gets them into the screen. And then I think that both Coach Norvell and Coach Atkins do a really good job of getting us in that call and great situations. Because I think you need both. I think you need the timing of when that call is made, and then you need the execution of the actual play. And you know, every week it seems like we have a big play in the screen game. And you know, for me, I know as a defensive line coach, that would be concerning going into every game, because you know it's hard to live in both worlds. It's hard to say as a D-line coach, hey, go rush, 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 except watch out for the screen. Like that's hard to do. And you know, when we have had our opportunities offensively to make impactful plays in the screen game, it's really changed games.
All good?